All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. This is your daily draft report, the daily dose of prospect information for the NFL draft, brought to you by Campus to Canton. I love the prospect we're talking about today. We're talking about Mr. Carson Strong. He's a redshirt junior quarterback. He played at the University of Nevada, 6'4", 215 pounds, and you either love this guy, you hate this guy, you think he's a statue that belongs in the yard with the garden gnomes, or you think the kid's got the arm of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's like no in between, it seems like. So I'm really excited to bring on my guest this week. I just call him Mandrew, Andrew Harbaugh. I mean, one of the first guys I knew in this space. My first podcast is with Andrew, so I'm happy to be reunited. It's like long lost friends. I see us running toward each other in the sunlight, like oh. Then Lexi gets in the way. So, anyways, how you
Right.
doing, Andrew?
I'm doing good, Dwight. Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking about the combine the other day and how that was really the only time we've gotten to hang out, and we haven't gotten to do a Senior Bowl or anything ever together, and a couple other chances and stuff like that. But that one good combine weekend was well
Yes,
worth it. So,
we'll always have Indianapolis.
right, the day that DK Metcalf broke everything.
Oh man, that was great, man. That was fun though. Um, yeah, I actually kind of hope to make it down there this year, so we'll see. I can't make it a Senior Bowl. I don't have enough time off, so
Yeah,
one day I'll have a cushy job where I can go to all these things. So,
exactly.
all right, Carson Strong. We'll dive in here. His recruiting profile wasn't much. I mean, he was a three-star guy, the 2,171 one one 2,171st
Too many
ranked
numbers.
prospect. Yes, exactly. That's a lot of freaking numbers. I'm surprised they even ranked that far. So, out of Will C. Wood High School in Bakeyville, California. Obviously, he only got one offer. It was from Nevada, and the rest is history. Did not start his freshman year, so obviously got a redshirt year, but did start his redshirt freshman year. Threw for, I mean, right off the bat, he started throwing 2,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Last year, he kind of came on the scene. We saw, a little bit of an uptick in yardage, 70% completion rate, which I love. But he threw for 27 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And this season, just balled out, man. Like it seems like all eyes were on him. Everybody knew he was here, and he still just kicked some ass. 4,186 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Like we talked about a little bit, he did not rush for anything. He actually had negative 230 yards, I believe, on the season.
Gotta
But
love
he
how
was the
sacks work in college.
oh yeah, and he was the Midwest Conference Player of the Year in 2020 and 2021. There's not really any brief analytics to dive in with him, so I'll dive right into the questions with Andrew. Andrew, what traits and attributes does Strong possess that will make him successful in the NFL?
Yeah, the two that I on my Dynasty Nerds rookie profile, which you can find on their on the under the rookie tab on Dynasty Nerds. My two things I really highlighted, and obviously you talked about it, comparing them to Mahomes' arm strength. That arm strength is absolutely insane. Use the wording of buddy of mine have been using back and forth on. There's three quarterbacks that have this term, and he's one of them. Is he has an absolute piss missile, which if you want to look that up in Urban Dictionary is related to more baseball, but it's basically to say he can. It's like when you hit a line drive and it just is as a rope basically. That's what Carson Strong can do. I think the other thing too I talked about in my profile. This is the one trait I think that really is going to set him apart from other rookies, especially other rookies I've seen just in recent years. Is the confidence he has in himself. When I got into this a couple years ago, one of the things Matt Miller told me to do was read books, which I couldn't read books, but I could listen to books. And I got Bruce Arians' audiobook and The Quarterback Whisperer. I worked with Kelly Holcomb in Cleveland, most famously Peyton Manning in Indianapolis, and obviously Andrew Luck, now Tom Brady, Carson Palmer, yada yada yada. He said the only one he had a hard time with, and it's hilarious now to think about, as far as understanding what an actual open receiver is in the NFL, was Peyton Manning. He said Peyton Manning was holding onto the ball too long his rookie year, and that was his problem. That's why the Colts were bad, he was bad, and it seemed like the sky was falling. Arians had to teach him what an open window was in the NFL. Carson Strong already understands that. If you watch him play, and part of it, it kind of helps him that he's not playing with these 5-star receivers that Stroud's playing with at Ohio State or that Young's playing with, and Alabama. He's playing with, in all due respect, Cole Turner's a great tight end. Romeo Dubs is a fantastic receiver in his own right. But obviously, it's not Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Williams, and everybody Mechie down in Alabama. So he's had to make tight window throws his whole college career. And as you alluded to, he's kept his worst completion percentage in all those pass attempts in a season is 68%. I mean, that if Josh Allen had that coming out of the draft, he would have been the first pick in the draft. But everyone focused on completion percentage with Josh Allen and his big arm. So it's one of those things where you get to see now where Carson Strong's able to answer the eye test stats wise, and he definitely passes the eye test from film standpoint. I think the biggest thing to worry about is going to be physically for him, but obviously we'll get to that later. But as far as the arm strength and like I said, the passing lanes and understanding when a receiver can be open and throwing somebody open, it's you can teach it, but he's going to be ahead of his whole class, especially this quarterback class with those two traits.
Right, he does throw a beautiful ball, and he just flicks it. Like it's definitely very effortlessly. His release is very quick, and his ability to put it where it's supposed to be or where only his receiver can get it is uncanny. I mean, if you combine him with Malik Willis, you've got like the perfect, awesome quarterback.
Yes.
Like so it's just.
And those are my two favorite at this point.
if we're going to do this, I mean, other than the mobility, I mean, that's everybody's going to say it's going to hold him back, but we just saw Mac Jones get drafted at 15th. I don't know. I think Mac was maybe a little bit more mobile, but I see Carson Strong moving in the pocket some, but he also throws the ball before it becomes an issue, so his mobility is definitely an issue. So what else could you see hold him back?
I think the biggest thing for him is, and I can't remember if I was told not to say anything about this or not from different people that I've gotten to know in this industry and in the NFL and just college circles and that. His knee is a major concern for teams. Like to the point where we're talking potentially, and obviously I will say it's one person telling me this, hearing this from somebody else. It's concerning to the point where you're talking maybe day 3 Carson Strong gets picked. But at the same time, that could be something where he kind of turns into, and this is my player comp for him too, is Gardner Minshew fell that far, and obviously you saw what he's been able to do when given the chance. But the knee for Carson Strong, I think, is really the Senior Bowl week's going to be huge for him as far as like an eye test. I think he'll do great there, and hopefully that momentum he builds that week carries over into the Combine week. But medicals for him, I think, are going to be the biggest question mark. Nothing on the field, I don't think. I have several people that have told me he's going to be their QB1 based on film alone because we don't get medicals. They don't take those into draft grades, and I don't either. But as far as for fantasy players and projecting what he could be in the NFL, it's something to keep in mind that teams are concerned with his knee. I'm falling. Dwayne, if you're talking, you're muted.
Well, you definitely can't hear the background noise if it's muted. So my daughter's playing music, and I just wanted to make sure you couldn't hear it. So
no, you're really good. I thought maybe you were talking to someone, and I was like, he's talking awfully passionately to somebody otherwise. But
yeah. Anyhow, all right. So I like to use the NFL mock draft database to find out where other people in the industry are taking him. So I like Zach Petra at SI just recently put him at number 3 to the Texans, which no way in hell. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I will say that was in the three and like group chats I'm in with like evaluators and different people. That was all instantly shared and laughed at. I mean, obviously,
what's funny is 5 days prior he put him going 30 to the Lions, which makes a hell of a lot more sense. He could learn from Goff because they're almost the same.
And that's what I've seen is a lot of him being at the end of the first, sit behind Goff. You don't have to do anything right away with him.
Right. Yeah, I see 32 to Washington, which would be that'd be all right. 29 to Tennessee, that'd be all right. Give him a couple years behind Tannehill to sit and learn. So I like all those landing spots. Detroit's an interesting landing spot. So where would you like to see him go though? What would you think would be an optimal fit? In the teams that need quarterbacks.
I would say I think Washington with Scott Turner could do something fun with him. I think Scott Turner could be a lot of fun for a lot of these quarterbacks this year. But Carson Strong, I think you've seen no matter who the revolving door is of quarterbacks at Washington, he's been able to find some success with them. So it's something he'd be used to. But no, ironically enough, you brought it up yourself from that mock. I think Detroit's a fantastic spot. I think somewhere where he can sit. I mean, he's obviously got the game reps. He's been a 3-year starter. I think the main thing is for him to just learn the NFL game, get used to the speed of the NFL game after playing and practicing in the Mountain West for 4 years. And obviously, coming out of high school, he wasn't anything of a top level prospect. But I think if he goes to the right landing spot, could sit a year, maybe even two, who knows? I think definitely he might be worth a flyer ticket on. He's going to be a taxi squad guy potentially, but I think it's going to be a year or two before he can prove to be a more famous alumni from his high school than Jermaine Dye, White Sox World Series hero.
That's funny. I love it. Yeah, I think, like you said, any of the spots where you sit, I still think he's a second round guy.
He
I don't
reminds
know.
me of like when Drew Lock was coming out that year, how it was like, and obviously you don't want him to have the career that Drew Lock has had. But as far as, okay, Drew Lock was going to go to the Giants, and then it was Daniel Jones that went. Okay, Drew Lock's going to go to the Washington football team. No, it was Dwayne Haskins. Well, then he had to wait all the way to day 2, and it seemed like a steal at that point. I know, obviously, Jim Nagy, if you literally breathe on the field down in Mobile, Jim Nagy will pump your career for the rest of time. And I love Jim Nagy. But Carson Strong, he's really pumping the gas on. I mean, he's just full bore Vin Diesel, live life 1 mile at a time with Carson Strong. So it's one of those things where Senior Bowl week, you always see a bump. You saw it last year with Dwayne Eskridge famously. But quarterbacks especially, you can either come out of that thing looking great, as Justin Herbert did and Jalen Hurts did 2 years ago, or you can come out of that thing looking bad like Daniel Jones did. And Dave Gettleman's not in the league anymore to bail him out. So it's one of those things where Senior Bowl week may not seem like a lot if you're a quarterback, but it can definitely – it's like a week-long pro day. You can look good, but you can also – like if you look good, you're expected to look good. If you look bad, it can hurt you. But I think the wave he rides from there will be very, very interesting. And the two teams coaching, one of them is Detroit. So I think Detroit at that back end of the first, you get that 5th-year option then. Because Brad Holmes likes his guy Goff, who he drafted in Los Angeles. So I think, and you've seen the Senior Bowl coaches and staffs draft a lot of Senior Bowl players. I think Carson Strong and Dan Campbell would absolutely love each other.
Yeah, this Senior Bowl quarterback group is stupid. Like, there's going to be some peacock strutting. I mean, these guys are all fighting for draft position. So.
You want to talk about peacock strutting here? I'll flex for you, Dwight. I texted Nagy the day they got Howell, and I said, did you just tell your staff to get every top-name quarterback? And Nagy texted me back. He's like, yeah, and it stinks I couldn't get Corral, or I would have got him too. So it's a hell of a group. And that's what I said to him. I said, I think the last time they had, like, who you could argue is your top 10 picks, I'm not counting Daniel Jones. He should not have been a top 10 pick. Was 2018, which was the year before Nagy took over. And that was the year they had Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield fighting down there. So, this year you've got, Willis, Zapp, who's a lot of fun. Sam Howell, Carson Strong. Who are the other two? Desmond Ridder and Kenny Pickett. Those are all the top quarterbacks in college.
Silly.
Minus Matt Corral. So it's a very fun week. I'm mad I'm not going to be down there. Considering I had to sit through Daniel Jones and Drew Lock for a year and Shea Patterson the year after.
Come on, Barnes loves Shea Patterson. All right,
100%.
all right, Andrew. Tell everybody what you're working on and what you can find you on Twitter.
This is where we always laugh that it takes 12 hours. So you can find me on Twitter at MandrewH_. I just got brought on at Climbing the Pocket, which is um, a Vikings focused site. I'm going to be covering them for the draft, and obviously all their front office moves they've got going on right now. Um, so I'll be doing Vikings content this off season, summer, and probably beyond. And then obviously Dynasty Nerds I plugged already. Doing a lot of rookie profiles over there. Again, more front office moves, analyzing that kind of thing. And then just general NFL content at Blue Chip Scout on Twitter as well. So 3 different places. I'm just whoring myself out to anybody, Dwight.
I don't want to go through all mine right now. So
Exactly.
yeah.
It's like you with your fantasy leagues. We don't have time to go through all of them.
No, I am down to 28. Yeah, so leave me alone.
Exactly.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at FF People's Champ. Working the Nerds, Campus to Canton. This podcast is the Twitter is I didn't know it yesterday. Daily Draft RPRT. So it's the best I could get.
I had to look it up 3 times when I was tagging it earlier. Full disclosure.
It's the best I could do. Okay, someone had already took it and they weren't doing anything with it. Bastards.
That's the best, right? Yeah. Mandrew is still just sitting there not used since 2011, so it's okay.
All right, guys, and that is a wrap. We will talk to you tomorrow.